open. This crack right here. That's what it should come.
Right, that's the last like this.
Said, Jerry, what is a banana? I said, I don't have no idea. I got an apple and an orange one Christmas, but I ain't never ever seen or heard of no banana. Marcel said, hey, fella, said, what's them bananas? He said, they 2 for a nickel. Marcel said, give me 2 of them. Said, how you eat the thing? Said, pull that yellow part off, peel it. Marcel scratched through that peeling and scooped him out a handful of that banana and put it in his mouth. About that time, the train entered a tunnel. And a railroad car got jet black dark. Marcel said, Jerry, Jerry! I said, what? Marcel said, you ate your banana yet? I said, no. He said, well, don't. I took one bite of mine and went stone blind. We landed at Williamsburg, Virginia. We got off of that train, and they said a bus is coming to pick you up, but while the bus is coming, you 2 fellers take a push broom and sweep out the depot. Well, I ain't never seen a push broom that wasn't made out of shucks. Me and Marcel was pushing that broom. 2 fellas sitting over there on the bench, and they sure did talk funny. We got even with them fellas. One of them looked up and said, jeez, hey, you guys, who won the Civil War? And Marcel brought that broom over, one motion, and busted it over his head and said, the Civil War ain't over. So Marcel, that better done got us in trouble, and we ain't been in the Navy but 2 days. I love y'all. I landed at Williamsburg and then went off and fought a war. Earned 3 battle stars and the Presidential Unit Citation for bravery before I was 19 years old. And what happened? The USS Bennington, CV-20, 1946, pulled back into Norfolk. And I was back in Virginia again. Yeah. And I got my discharge and left. And went on home and back into show business. And here I am doing a Virginia State Fair back in Virginia. Oh, my! Beers, I love you. Can I be personal with you just for a second? Last weekend, I come back to Virginia. I brought my wife, and I attended a reunion of the USS Bennington CV-20 in Norfolk. So, boys, I fought a war with 45 years ago. I got plumb emotional, because at the opening meeting, they asked the fella to pray. And he got up and he said, Lord, we thank you for the privilege of having this reunion. We served together on the USS Bennington, and Lord, you know we is willing to die together. And I never had really thought about it like that. I wonder why these old boys meant so much to me. But the man praying told me I was willing to die with them for freedom, for the United States of America. And we didn't ask no Russian or no German or no Japanese could we come to the show tonight. Not the first one. We here because we can make up our own mind where we want to go. But I had a good time down at Norfolk with my old buddies. Next year the reunion's going to be in St. Louis. So I love you Virginia folks. Last time I did this fair, I lived in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Yazoo City. My last young'un got out of high school. Me and Mama moved back to Route 4, Liberty, Mississippi, where it all started. I'm down there with them Ledbetters. I love it. Fourth Sunday in July, dinner on the ground. Oh, chicken pie. I'm back down there. I done joined the old home church that I saved in years ago when I was 13 years old. And me and Mama's so happy. It's just like we never left. Neighbors are friendly. While we was building our house, folks would come by and say, Jerry, it must be wonderful. All you young'uns have done grown and left home, and you and Homerline are here at the house by yourself. I said, it is wonderful. If that dog them young'uns left, he'd just die now, everything would be. We got the house built and we moved in. And an old boy come by one day and said, Jerry, I envy you. Oh, my last young'un's a senior in high school. And when he graduates, I'm going to send him to Mississippi State, and then me and Mama go sit on the front porch and rock. And ain't no young'uns going to be here. I said, friend, you right. It is nice. But let me tell you some facts you don't know about. Your young'uns are going to get grown and they're going to leave home. But they're coming back. And they're going to bring more with them. My daughter Sue brought in her new husband. I walked in the kitchen, that thing's sitting at my table. Eating 3 of them big old white fuzzy donuts and drinking a Diet Coke for breakfast. He said, oh, father-in-law, what is your cholesterol count? Y'all into that in Virginia? You go in any shopping mall in Mississippi, 3 nurses will take to you and job a hole in your finger. Same dude that thought up the cholesterol count is the same egghead that thought up the wind chill factor. My mama's been cold ever since. And I done told you I love you. I growed up in a barnyard. You show me a bull and a cow, and I'll tell you what color the calf will be. That's called bloodlines. And a lot of you Peckerwood's cholesterol was put in you by your mom and daddy. Doctor said, Jerry, I don't know whether that's so or not. I said, well, if it ain't so, why is it every time we go to the hospital, it takes us an hour to answer questions on a form what our mom and daddy had for the last 100 years? Cholesterol, I think, can be inherited. They made fun of me all my life. I'm not here to straighten nobody out. I just happen to be a teetotaler. I don't drink. And the reason I don't, my daddy was an alcoholic. And he deserted me when I was a little boy. And I said, I may inherit alcoholism from him. Ha ha, that's dumb. In the Navy, they say, have a coup. And I said, well, my quota was drunk up by my kinfolks. They say, man, ain't no way you can get inherited. About 5 years ago, a battery of doctors proved that alcoholism in some instances is inherited. So why can't cholesterol count be inherited? No, do what your doctor says. Don't let it go no higher. If it's high now. But I got a friend 5 foot tall, weighs 318 pounds. Every morning for breakfast, he eats a setting of eggs. 8 of them big old cat head biscuits. 6 whole hog sausages. A crock of sawmill gravy made out of hog lard and cow cream. And all that gravy, he don't slop out of that bowl, he drinks it. And his cholesterol level is 131. For the last 90 days, my doctors had me on broiled mockingbirds. And mine's 261. My mom and daddy done it. Now, I'm for doctors. I couldn't get along without them, but sometimes they miss it. 1969, I was in Plant City, Florida, selling fertilizer. I used to be a fertilizer salesman. Some folks think I'm still in that business. But in Plant City, Florida, true story. Not that I ain't been telling the truth. But this shows you now. 1969, I'm in Plant City, Florida, and I pulled a muscle in my side. And I finally made it to Tampa. Got on a jet and went to Atlanta. Changed planes, finally got back to Jackson, Mississippi. Got in my car and drove to Yazoo City to King Daughters Hospital, went to the emergency room. I said, "Page Dr. Chapman." Dr. Chapman come in there and stuck a thermometer in my mouth. I said, "I pulled a muscle in my side." He said, "Big man, you ain't pulled no muscle, that's a hot spot. I mean, that's something bad going on right in there. That you got a high temperature, dangerously high. I got to run some tests. I think you have diverticulitis. But we will be able to run a few simple tests. And we will detect whether you have diverticulitis or not. Now, folks, I done come out here in the outset and told you I love you. I'm fixed to prove it to you. If you go to a hospital, even though you ain't sick, you may be visiting for the church. I mean, if you're in a hospital for any reason and you remotely think you hear somebody say the word procto, don't you let them get you. You gather your split tail gown around you. And you go hide in the nearest swamp. Stropping me to a sawhorse. Turning me bottom side upwards. Unbreeching a 410 gauge shotgun. They did take the sight off the back. And that sweat's pouring off of my face. And that doctor saying, And I'm trying to peep around there at him. I said, "Doctor, I don't know what you're doing, but when you get on, every ailment I'll ever have the rest of my life, you cured it right now." I did have diverticulitis. Now listen to what the doctor told me. He said, "Jerry, you can't eat no more roughage. No more bran or no more fiber. 1 tablespoonful of bran or fiber, you go infect your diverticulitis again. And you gonna have diverticulitis. Your belly may swell up like a cow, bloated on white clover. You'll be walking down the sidewalk and just blow out and drown a bunch of people. You cannot eat no fiber or no bran, Jim. 10 years, I didn't have nothing fit to eat. And one day my doctor called me and said, Jerry, come down to my office. Here's a medical bulletin just sent to me by the American Medical Association. Proof positive. Based on scientific research, fiber and bran will control diverticulitis. Now, I don't blame my doctor. He was just passing on what the researchers told him. But that's the truth. And hey, you eat a bowl of bran every morning, that ain't nothing to it. I eat a bowl of bran every morning and go eat a bowl of chili. Or chew on a hot pepper. But for 10 years, I was told me that'd kill me. I love y'all. You young'uns are gonna leave home, but they're coming back. And they're gonna bring more with them, and some of them that bring with them are gonna be smarter than you. My daughter Amy come to see me Thanksgiving. Brought my grandson, Jerry. Jerry said, Granddaddy, will you get me equipped to go deer hunting? I said, heck yeah, that's what I'm for. That's what Granddaddies are for. What do you need? He said, a 30-06. Well, I didn't deer hunt or turkey hunt when I was growing up. There wasn't none. Now my place is full of them, which is fine. And my grandson said, I need to go deer hunting. Will you get me equipped? I said, certainly. What do you need? A 30-06. Well, I had a conference with my banker. And I bought him one. I said, now you got your rifle, go on deer hunting. He said, I need something else. I said, what else you need? He said, I need a grunt. What? A grunt, said it's made by strut. I said, what does a grunt do? He said, you sound it. It sounds like a doe deer. And that old buck will come hunting it. I said, I don't think that's fair. But here's your rifle, here's your grunt, go on hunting. He said, I need a scent. A scent? What does that do? Said you sprinkle it on the ground. And it smells just like a doe deer. And that old buck will smell it and boogity, boogity, boogity. Here he'll come. I said, I know that ain't fair. I said, Granddaddy, when you was a young'un, courting grandmother, didn't she put on some of that sweet smelling scent to get your attention? I said, she sure did, and she got my attention. In fact, she throwed a craving on you, Granddaddy. And I eased up as close to her as she let me, but she didn't shoot me. Now, if your grandchildren or your children are into deer hunting, please explain to the grandma and to the mama that when they kill the first deer, it is a custom to face down in the blood. My grandson left Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, to go deer hunting, come back Friday afternoon, run up on the porch, run through the front door, had blood from his eyeballs to his shoe tops. Well, the time I got through mouth to mouth resuscitating his grandma. That boy's back in the woods trying to kill another deer. If I'd have known killing a deer that made him that happy, I'd have bought a deer and let him shot it. No way I can explain to you how glad I am I'm in Virginia. My, what a great state. There's 105 ships stationed at Norfolk Naval Base. There's 50 of them gone at all times. I saw 2 ships tied up that can kill everybody in Iraq in an hour. If you got a Congress that got guts enough to do it when they need to do it. I am elated to be in Virginia, and I love y'all. Let's count the ways. First of all, I love you because you ain't a bunch of pessimists. I'm sick of negativism. Negativism can break up marriages. Negativism can break up companies. It can break up homes. It can ruin a nation. And y'all ain't a bunch of pessimists. You here tonight, giggling and grinning. Tuesday night at the Virginia State Fair. I watched the network news a while ago. And you know there ain't nothing good happened in the whole world in the last 24 hours? Not one thing. Dan Rather walked out there looking like he just got over a hookworm treatment. And I wish I could get old Dan to come down here and put that camera on y'all. And we'd buy him one of them phone cakes. And let him see them armadillos run. Yeah. And say we're a bunch of positive folks. We ain't walking around looking like we just got over a hookworm treatment. I run into negativism in my business. I was doing a Grand Ole Opry about 6 weeks ago on the Nashville network, and I walked off to the end of the stage, and there's one of them network news navigators wanting to interview me. Had that microphone in his hand, had that leather strap coming across his shoulder, and you could see that little tape whirling down there, just whooping. He said, Mr. Clower, a lot of you Grand Ole Opry stars are booked in Europe, but I'm sure if you are booked in Europe, you'll cancel your trip due to the danger of terrorism and Gaddafi. I said, sir, I'm what's known as a good old boy. And us good old boys ain't scared of Gaddafi. I said, not only is he a world-famous terrorist, but he's a world-famous liar. He's got the American people thinking it's more dangerous to fly to Europe than it is to drive through Atlanta. And I said, sir, for your information, statistics have proven that 1 out of 1,400 Americans who travel in this country will be injured, but 1 out of 700,000 are injured flying to Europe. So by logical deduction, if Delta Airlines will let their captain get on that big old jet, and they'll fly that jet to Europe, old Jerry will go with them, and Gaddafi won't keep me from doing nothing I want to do. Well, it shook him up. Oh, it shook up the navigator. I was supposed to say, yeah, ain't it awful? But he's pretty good navigator. He regrouped. He said, but Mr. Clower, what if Gaddafi and the terrorists blow up the airplane you own? I said, I got a home in heaven. Whoa, but Mr. Clower, what if Gaddafi and the terrorists kidnap you? I said, I get Jesse Jackson to come and get me. We have a negative barber in my county. Liberty, Mississippi. I toured Williamsburg last Friday. And I stood where Patrick Henry made that great speech. And I told everybody in my group, I said, more people have died and bled and suffered over my hometown than any other town in the world. They said, what is your hometown? I said, Liberty, Mississippi. Patrick Henry said it. Give me liberty or give me death. Oh, and in Liberty, Mississippi, there's a pessimistic barber. Oh, you go in his barber shop, the sun shining bright. Say, pretty day today, ain't it? He said, be raining in an hour. If I wasn't a Christian, I'd hire somebody to kill him. My buddy Bill went in that barber shop, and that old pessimistic barber said, Bill, here you gonna take a trip. I said, yeah, I'm gonna catch TWA Airlines. I'm gonna fly to Rome, and I'm gonna visit with the Pope. The old pessimistic barber said, TWA is the sorriest airline in the world. They'll lose your suitcase. They ain't never on time. You make it to Rome, Rome stinks this time of the year. And you ain't gonna get to see the Pope. If you see the Pope, you're gonna stand down here with a bunch of people, and the Pope's gonna be standing on a little porch way up yonder on the side of the wall. You ain't gonna get no closer to the Pope than you down here and him way up yonder. Well, old Bill is back in the barber shop in about a month, and that old pessimistic barber said, Bill, you didn't take that dumb trip, did you? Bill said, I did take that trip, and you lied to me. TWA was a good airline. They didn't lose my suitcase. That's right on time. Them flight attendants was friendly. We landed in Rome. I took a whiff of Rome. Rome wasn't stinking. You lied about that. But you right about one thing. There was 100,000 people all scrooched up together hoping that Pope would walk out on that shelf. The old pessimistic barber said, you didn't get to see it, did you, Bill? Bill said, I did do it. So while I was standing there hoping that Pope would walk out on that porch, a fella pulled at my sleeve, said, hey, buddy, come with me. The Pope sent me after you. Went around there and got on an elevator and went up 4 floors, and the elevator door opened. Woo! I stood the Pope. I said, Brother Pope, this is the highlight of my trip, Brother Pope. Getting to see you one-on-one. And the old pessimistic barber said, Bill, why did the Pope pick you out individual and bring you up there? Bill said, I wondered the same thing. I asked the Pope why he sent for me. And the Pope said, young man, I wanted to pray with you and counsel with you. Because out of 100,000 people, you undoubtedly got the sorriest haircut of anybody I've ever seen. I love y'all because y'all ain't a bunch of pessimists. I wish everybody had the attitude of the 13-year-old boy that lives in my county. Got off the school bus the other day and he told his mama, said, Mama, I wished I had somebody to play baseball with me. She said, well, son, you don't, so get out there in the backyard and play by yourself. Little fella got out there in the backyard and he took the ball and the bat, and he throwed the ball up in the air and he swung the bat at it and he missed it. He throwed the ball up a second time. He drawed back with the bat and he missed it. He throwed the ball up a third time and he drawed back and he missed it. Little fella smiled and he said, gosh, what a pitcher. I love y'all because you ain't a bunch of pessimists. I love you because you're working folks. It is a tradition in the United States of America, if you ain't lazy, folks will respect you. A lot of tradition in this country, especially in the South. A lot of it ain't worth doodly squat. But that tradition that we do wholesome, decently, and in order, I am a traditionalist. I don't want to change. In the South, it's tradition to eat grits. If you don't like them, don't eat them, but shut your mouth. I was doing the theater in the round at Boston, Massachusetts. Cohasset Theater, South Shore, with Hank Jr. And the man introduced me, said, put your hands together. Welcome Grand Ole Opry star Jerry Clower to the land of the bean and the cod. I'm glad my mama wasn't there. She'd slapped him. Cod in Boston is a fish, and they eat it with the beans. That's fine. I didn't try to change that tradition while I was there. Another tradition, if you ain't lazy, folks will respect you. Y'all ain't lazy, and I love you folks. I was doing a show in Memphis, Tennessee. Got to the airport early and decided I'd eat breakfast. My ride wasn't there. I went into Dobbs' house. I said, young sir, what will you have? I said, 2 eggs over light, sausage, biscuit, and grits. She said, we serve hash browns. And wasn't even courteous, ugly. I said, darling, I growed up poor, but I never was so poor I had to eat an Irish potato for breakfast. She said, you want to see the manager? I said, I sure do. Well, this lady come walking out there. Said, whoa! I saw you on the Family Feud show. I said, yeah. She said, Richard Dawson did not kiss you. I said, thank God. I said, how come ain't no grits on this menu? She said, my boss told me to take them off. I said, let me compliment you for doing what your boss said do, but give your boss a message from Jerry Clower. Tell him I come in here with no malice in my heart, loving everybody. But I resent the fact that you trying to change my southern culture and me sitting in a southern restaurant. Now, if this was north of Memphis, I wouldn't open my mouth. But you ain't gonna change my culture in the South. And I said, W.C. Handy's buried on the bank of the Mississippi River. He may come out of the grave some night and come over here and kill every one of y'all. I went on that night and did a show at the Civic Center. The mayor of the town come back to my dressing room and said, Jerry, welcome to Memphis. Said when we have industrialists to come here, that we try to get them to bring industry into West Tennessee. We don't have big dinners to entertain them. We feed them breakfast and teach them how to eat grits. I said, don't take them to the Dobbs house at the airport. Woo, that mayor throwed a fit. I mean, he throwed a plumb fit. He said, you know there's grits. I said, hey. I said, some Yankee bought that restaurant. He said, oh, Jerry, Mr. Dobbs, one of the finest citizens in this country. I mean, the national headquarters for the Dobbs houses is here in Memphis. I said, well, some scallywag carpetbagger has done got to. That afternoon, I was on the local radio station. And I'm telling this story, and 4 good old boys went out there and started picketing the restaurant. Lady manager called me and said, Jerry, you get off that radio station and shut your mouth. I'll put grits back in here for supper. I said, if you ever take them out again when I come, I'm going to bring Jerry Reed and Ray Stevens with me. I love y'all because you ain't a bunch of pessimists. I love you because you're working hands. If you ain't lazy, folks will respect you. I prove it to you. How many of y'all ever picked up a hitchhiker? How many of y'all ever picked up a hitchhiker that was sitting down or laying down side the road? Too lazy to stand up to ask for a ride. Not only do I not pick them up, but I scatter them. They don't ride with me, they got to get up on their tiptoes, ready to chase my car. I get way over on the shoulder of the road, way away from them, and go to kicking up at my Bermuda grass and that dirt. Give them plenty of time to get out of that thing. I was coming out of Jackson, Mississippi the other day, had my wife with me, and we'd ride along there talking about our grandchildren. There's 2 hitchhikers way up yonder on Interstate 55, and I saw them. My wife hadn't seen them yet. Well, when she saw them, she started hitting my leg with her fist. So Aunt Jerry knows they ain't bothering you, Aunt Jerry. Most pessimistic human being I've ever known in my life was an old boy named Clovis Ledbetter. Clovis was so negative he did not want to be a Ledbetter. He always wanted to be a log truck. He's a little bitty boy. You call him Clovis. He said, Clovis gets stuck in a mud hole at recess at school. One day he's in the back of the classroom. He done got out on the hard road. He is idling. Miss Middle East Stone, the teacher said, Clovis, shut up that racket. Clovis said, Clovis never said a word till he was 22 years old. You know what got him to talking? Girls. Ashley D. Lauder throwed a craving on Clovis. Ugliest female girl woman God ever allowed to be birthed in the state of Mississippi. Ashley had to slip up on the dipper to get a drink of water. If Moses had seen Ashley, we'd have had another commandment. Thou shalt not be so ugly. But old Clovis courted her, wooed her, married her, built him a little house out there on Uncle Percy Ledbetter's farm. And one Monday morning, he was out there fixing fence. He was digging post holes with a post hole digger. It was the right time of the moon to dig a post hole. It's all right. Sit there in your academic excellence. I saw a sign, Commonwealth University. in Richmond is here, ain't it? Baptist school, us Deepwater Baptists, you know we smart. And I done told you I love you. I love you if you ain't, even if you ain't culture expected. But I thought everybody knew if you dig a post hole to put a post in to build a fence, if you dig a post hole the wrong time of the moon, there won't be enough of dirt to go back in the hole. I was doing a show at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 2 shows, Civic Center. In between the shows, I'm in my dressing room. And TV navigator comes on. And he tells everybody when the ocean's gonna rise, when the ocean's gonna fall, high tide and low tide. And if he couldn't come on in person about every 40 minutes, he'd run it along the bottom like a tornado warning. High tide, low tide. Now what causes the ocean to rise and fall?
Moon.
If the moon can control the ocean, it can suck dirt out of a post hole. Brand new preacher just moved into the county, didn't know a soul. He'd been walking them dirt roads, visiting folks, trying to motivate them to come to the house of the Lord. The next Lord's Day, they walked up on old Clovis, and old Clovis was working on that post hole digger. The preacher walked up and said, "Sir, are you a Christian?" Clovis said, "No, I'm a Ledbetter." The preacher said, "Sir, you don't understand. Are you lost?" Clovis said, "Heck no, I ain't lost. I was born in that house right yonder." Preacher said, "Sir, you still don't understand. Are you ready for the resurrection day?" Clovis said, "When's that gonna be?" Preacher said, "Don't nobody know. It could be today, it could be tomorrow." Clovis said, "Don't you tell my wife. She'll want to go both days." I grew up at Route 4, Liberty, Mississippi. Caught that train and come to Virginia to be prepared to go off and fight a war. I done moved back, like I told you a while ago. I lived within a quarter of a mile from where I was born. Now, when I lived there years ago, there wasn't no electricity, wasn't no telephones. You go to somebody's house and they wasn't home, go to the country store. They left word there where they'd be. I went to see Marcel Ledbetter one day and he wasn't home. I went to the country store. I said, "You seen Marcel?" I said, "Yeah, he's quail hunting birds." So I just sat down and waited on him. He come back in a little while. Mr. Duval Scott, the man that runs the store, said, "Marcel, did you kill any birds?" I said, "I killed 19. He said, "I bet you shot them sitting on the ground." Marcel said, "Can they fly?" When I was growing up, we had 5 social functions that we participated in: peanut ballings, candy pullings, log rollings, rat killings, and coon huntings. Rat killings. Rat killings, I saw your eyes ball back in there. You don't have some fun, you get invited to an RSVP rat killing. Yeah, yes, I goes get in front. Me and my brother Sonny have moved whole cribs full of corn to get to them rats. One day we was going across the corn crib and moving that corn and killing them rats in a great big old lawn. Nasty rat run up my overhaul breeches legs and I caught him right there above my knee. That thing would try to bite me and scratch me and I'd squeeze him, he'd go, "Eee!" I told my brother Sonny, I said, "Get your pocket knife. Because I don't believe I can back him down." And I know I ain't gonna turn him loose. My brother Sonny took his pocket knife, cut all the way around my hand, and I took that old rat and I throwed him to a big old bird dog named Andy, and old Andy said, Mama took that patch of cloth and sewed it right back in that hole. That didn't bother me none. That wasn't the first patch on them overhauls. Got through killing that rat. I walked out on the front porch and I hollered to my next door neighbor that lived about a mile off. Woo-hoo! And he hollered back, woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! That meant no. I ain't worked too hard today. Be glad to go coon hunting with you. We met down in the swamps and turned the dogs loose, and they started sniffing on the ground, treed 5 times. We caught 5 great big raccoons. About that time, I heard a racket. It somewhat scared me, because my brother Sonny and all the dogs is over yonder, and I heard the racket over there. Well, I had done ordered me one of them carbide lights from Sears and Roebuck, what you hang on your cap. I didn't have enough of money to get the cap, too. So I done took me a piece of wire, and I done wired that light to my head. And when I heard that racket, I put my head around that. Then I brought my light around. Beam of that light hit a fella right in the face, and it somewhat scared me because we was hunting on his place. I said, Mr. Barnes, that's you? This is me. I don't mind y'all hunting on my place. I heard the dogs barking, went by and picked up a neighbor. And the neighbor said, we ought to come down here and hunt with y'all. I said, who is your neighbor? He said, John Eubanks. I like to die. I like to die. I didn't know John Eubanks was in them woods. John Eubanks was a great American. He was a great environmentalist. He was a great ecologist. He was a great conservationist. He was a great game warden. John taught us from birth, don't ever shoot no raccoon out of no tree. Give everything a sporting chance. Don't shoot him. Be fair. Take a crosscut saw hunting with you. You tree a raccoon, hold the dogs, and saw the tree down. Or either climb the tree and goose the raccoon out. Make him jump in amongst the dogs. Sometimes we'd make that raccoon jump in amongst 20 dogs. But at least he had the option of whooping all them dogs and walking off if he wanted to. That was strictly left up to the raccoon. We went on hunting, and old John hollered, y'all get this picture now. They treed up a huge sweet gum tree. You couldn't reach around this tree. There wasn't a limb on it for a while. Way up there, and I looked around at John. Come on, John, tree's too big. You can't climb that tree. John said, ain't that tree in all these swamps I can't climb. John got his brogan shoes off and took a couple of them squat thrust exercises. And he broke and run barefooted, broad jump, way up through the air, and popped the bottoms of his bare feet on each side of that sweet gum, and then hung his fingernails in that bark, and then he commenced to shimming on up that tree. Like one of them REA pole climbers. Knock him out, John. John got up into the top of the tree. Whew, what a big knock him out, John. John reached around in his overalls and got that sharp stick and drawed back and punched a coon, but it wasn't a coon. It was a lynx. We call them souped up wildcats. And that thing had great big tushes coming out of its mouth and great big claws on the end of its feet, and that thing attacked John up in the top of that tree. Wow! This thing's killing me. What's the matter with John? I don't have no eye to knock him out, John. Wow! That thing tore John's overhaul jumper plumb off. The whole top of the tree was shaking. Dogs got in a fight under my feet. You dogs, get back, knock him out, John. John got feeling great pain. John knew that we toted pistols in our belts to shoot snakes with. John kept hollering, oh, shoot this thing. Woo, please shoot this thing. Mr. Barnes said, John, we cannot shoot up in there. We might hit you. John said, well, just shoot up in here amongst us. One of us got to have some relief.